good to hear that. Thank you very much. I'm glad you like it. So, are you ready for a little visit to Little Petra? Because the big Petra will be tomorrow. But we have a site near Petra. We call it Little Petra. And I think you will love it. It's a very quiet place. And we have nice carvings inside. You see? And with beautiful views as we drive towards. We left the town now of Wadi Musa and heading to north of Petra to see the Little Petra, we call it, or Al-Bayda. Bayda is the white, and it means white city. On the left side you see the ruins, you see the stones on top of the mountain, the scattered stones. This is ruins of a Crusader castle. Crusaders came here in 1099 AD and they established the Kingdom of Jerusalem. They stayed for about 90 years and 90. So they built a series of castles to protect the border of their kingdom. This is a destroyed one. We are maybe the day after tomorrow leaving, we will stop to see another bigger one, just a view of that one, before we continue north. Let's see how things, because we have a long day that day, driving, but many stops on the way. So this is one of 4 castles, a line of 4 castles that the Crusaders did. Coming from Europe, you know, from different parts of Europe, they came to the Holy Land here and they controlled the area until they were defeated by Saladin, the famous Muslim leader, Saladin. In 1187 they were defeated here. Then they came back again. So when you talk about crusades, we can talk about 7 to 9 crusades. Some say 4, yeah, but the ones that reached Jerusalem were 4, but there were 7 movements. Some, you know, they end up in Constantinople and they had also some fighting with the Eastern Christians, unfortunately. And lots of history during that period, yes. The whitish curved top of the mountain, or the openings are caves, and mostly tombs, the one you see. Now if you look down in the valley, you see there's like a white hangar there, a white building. Can you see? Tomorrow we will be there. Tomorrow we will enter Petra from the other side. We will go down that valley, near that Byzantine church. Do you remember those scrolls I was telling you about? They were found in the church, which is now under that cover, the white cover that you see down there. It's called the Byzantine church. You can see it far away in the valley there. So that's where we are heading tomorrow.
Camel.
In 1985, the UNESCO announced Petra as a World Heritage Site. So the government started to ask people living in the caves in Petra at that time to start coming up to this area here, where they gave them some land to build homes. Look at this now. It's a big town. So all these residents living in this town here, they used to live in the caves of Petra. And if you meet someone here that is, who is, or like this guy on the right, you see, is more than 40 years old or 45 years old. He was probably born in one of the caves. Not anymore. Nobody lives in the caves anymore. All the people who work in Petra, they live in this town. Look at this kid. So tomorrow you're going to see many kids. No, they come from a family, a big family. The donkeys, You will see tens of them tomorrow. Camels, donkeys, you can ride one if you wish. They are here to transport the visitors. Nowadays it's for tourists. So they ride on these down to Petra and they do their living, come back here. There's a big school on the right, if you're wondering. Even the boys you will see tomorrow, they can go to this school. It's free of charge. Just graffiti. I can't read it here. It's something like I was here before you, something like that. Little Petra, that's how the sign is. You can see here on the left, this is the shortcut to go inside Petra by car. Well, actually, you reach parts of Petra, not all of it, but it's a way to send, like if you need to send an ambulance or a police car or even services, they use the back road. Look at the views here. The left, you can see some of the Bedouin tents now coming on like 10 o'clock in the valley. Some beautiful mountains, all of them. This is all part of Petra, yeah, the park this way. And this is sandstone, my friend. Look at this monument here, this stone here. It looks like an elephant on the left and top. You see it? It's just a natural rock, naturally looking. Here we have some goats crossing. Yes, different breed. It's good for milk, and the sheep are good for milk. Usually the heat go to slaughterhouse earlier. Yeah, Petra was 2000 years ago was the capital of a big kingdom. The income of the people of Petra depended mostly on trade and doing anything related to trade, including hosting the caravans and doing services for them. So when we say caravans of camels, we're not saying like 10 or 20 camels. We're talking about 100 plus. Hundreds of camels coming and walking at the same time. Each camel can be loaded with about 500 pounds of goods, and sometimes precious goods, like we talk about the frankincense, the myrrh, all these silk, all the things that were traded with back then, and was hard to find. You have to transport it for a long distance. So the people in Petra used to host these caravans and to do business with them. Now, we don't imagine that 100 camels go inside the city together, and that would cause a lot of environmental issues. So they leave it. They probably left these camels in a place outside the city, like Little Petra, where we are going now. And some of the merchants will take part of the samples, if you want, to Petra to make the deals and decide what to do with it. Or they just provide these caravans with the need, anything they need, including, you can think of the service I call rent-a-camel service. Imagine the camels on the way, they get sick, they may die on the way, so there's we are on just parallel to the King's Highway, so it runs on the right. The mountains to the right are mountains where we expect snow. Those mountains, the high mountains, now straight. they can. Yeah, the camel will have a path, of course, too. Or like, usually these old routes are designed by animals. So the path itself is decided by the animals. You let them go and they find the shortcut. They find the right path. Especially donkeys, which are thought to be dumb, I don't know why, but they are very clever, by the way. Clever, they can go back home without any guidance. And they even use them at some borders, like between Lebanon and Syria, I heard, to smuggle drugs without anyone accompanying the donkey. So if they got caught, no one is charged. They can cross the border without any problem. Just a pretty area, pretty views of the rocks here. And this gives you just an example of what you expect tomorrow inside Petra. So soon we will look at this spot on the right, see camping site. So these small cabins will be, yeah, used. It's a new camp. There's the one here on the right also. You see a spot, an oasis, surrounded with these beautiful mountains. Like different layers in geology. Look at this view on the left here, that side. That's where we're heading. This is Little Petra. So they call it in geology, like they have a name for the layers. The white layers on the top and the reddish layers on the bottom. They call it Ordofish or Ordofishing, which I discovered it's the name of a tribe in Wales. So maybe those domes named after that. Somebody from that tribe named it like that. But this kind of rock is all sedimentary rock. They imagine one time they were covered by ocean water, just like Wadi Rum area. The desert there in Wadi Rum was covered also. We find lots of fish fossils. Is a good man, Petra. He wants to bring you as close as he can to the place. Alright, let's go.
I like it. I made it this summer. One of the carvings in Little Petra behind this, and this is a famous one. Many events took place here in this area. sometimes people like to do these incentive, trips to Petra, and we had also a beautiful concert remembering the late Pavarotti, which was after his death. He was to perform in Petra in his lifetime. He wanted to visit, but he died, and then they made a to remember him. They made a concert here with all the big names in opera. Celine Dion was here. Our Queen hosted that event.
Was there right here in this arena?
Yeah, right here near this. So also many at night they do sometimes some events for private events, some weddings sometimes.
Yep.
So you rent the area from the authority, and there are rules how to keep it, and there are people who provide catering. You can see some of the locals, are having a new tent being set up here, a Bedouin tent. This tent is made from goat hair. You can see how they wrap it like this. And this would be loaded in the old days on camels, today on the trucks. And one, they can just pack it and move it on over. These tents are made from the goat hair, which is this lady spinning. This is a camel hair she's making. So very similar to the goat hair spinning technique. So she's making the yarn. She's fluffing.
Camel.
No, she's doing a camel. Making a spinning, and then what they do is they have a special type of loom. It's different from the vertical loom that we all know. It's called the ground loom. So the ground loom has, the yarns of the weft are very long. You make it as long as you want. Maybe as long as the length of this tent. So they make it in panels. Panel by panel. They put it together next to each other, and they sew it together. So they get the size they want of the tent. So usually with the ground loom you get a thick weaving. So this is how they make the tent, which is usually will be closed from 3 sides, and one side is open. And usually in a Bedouin tent you will have 2 sections, at least 2 sections. One section is like a guest place for lots of mattresses and pillows, and they have the coffee there, the traditional Arabic coffee. This will be used by men when you have guests, like male guests. They will sit there, they will be served the coffee and then the food after that. The other part will be used for, besides sleeping, of course, both of them used for sleeping, but will be used as for a ladies section, and they cook outside it. The cooking will be done outside. And then of course at night the one family sleeps in the tent. Of course, unless if they have guests, they separate. So that's how the Bedouin. This is temporary. They should be taking it off. But maybe they have something taking place today, like an event or certain groups. Even our group like ours can book a dinner here or something. We do lots of catering costs. These guys live in the town nearby. Not inside. They used to live inside. Now I'll show you the cave.
So now let me ask you. So if a group of liars had a convention,
Yeah.
they'd feel comfortable spinning a yarn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the same thing. Good. I can't believe I packed that battery in the other bus. But I just assumed they have chargers. Yeah, chargers. You just recline here for a while. Talk about that.
There you go.
Seems to be up there where the other one is.
Oh, wow.
Nabatean pottery, the Nabatean of Petra pottery is a very thin pottery. It's a thin pottery with lots of also decorations like paintings on it. So Byzantine pottery is different. It's Roman pottery is different. Each one has, for example, they can say if this pottery is made the pre-wheel pottery. You know, the pottery wheel was invented, was a big revolution to make the pots and the right shapes. But before that, they used pottery, but without the wheel, and that has different characteristics. So that's prehistoric. You know, when we say historic, means after they invented the writing, and that's 3200 BC in this area. Wow. That's when we believe. So anything before that, we call it prehistory. Anything after, we call it historical period. And so the pottery is found everywhere. And our friend here has some coins with him. Okay. As well. So they have many cisterns to collect the water.
Would they use all this as a burial area as well?
It's a burial area. We didn't find tombs here, but we have more like banquet things. Now we will see. So most of the things you will see in Petra would be tombs. The ones in Petra. And most of the carving. Let me show you one of the water systems. If you like to come.
Look at the steps.
To make the track and to fix it.
So
these steps are to reach the top. Go ahead.
At the seat in Petra, isn't there a water channel?
Two of them. There's an aqueduct and the water on both sides. But that's two.
Hey, y'all listen, this is
In
fascinating.
Petra tomorrow you will
Hey.
see the
listen.
very long water channel.
Hey,
The reservoir. The channels in Petra were to bring water all the way down to the people in Petra. to be used from the springs and from reservoirs on like 2 miles away, some of them.
Distinguish between those two.
We will have, tomorrow you will see a channel like this, which used to be covered with plates of stone. The other system was aqueduct.
To bring the water in.
Well, both to bring water in, but it's two different systems. The one with the circular pieces of pottery or ceramic, you know, they will be like this size, and they fit it to each other like we use today with the system, piping system. And you know, it was surprising actually to find when they studied that aqueduct, to find there is a uniform inclination for it. Certain angle that they keep all the way. So they keep the flow of water in it smooth. Not to fill it and to make pressure. You know, if it's filled at the bottom, it starts building up, and the water pressure will cause the water to start you know, overflowing, or even destroy the channel itself. So they keep it like half full with the control of the flow of the channel.
It's a small area, but tomorrow you'll see the area we walked through is how long to see?
It's 1,200 meters, like 3/4. 3/4 of a mile?
3/4 of a mile you're going to walk through.
2/3 maybe.
And what, he probably was going to say this tomorrow, but I was so fascinated because the 3/4 of the mile we're talking about has this entire water system.
Yes.
Carved by hand.
Wow.
Because it's like the capital we see in Petra. It includes a curve on each side of the capital, and there's a knob coming in the center. This is how it's designed. We call it the Nabatean capital.
Wow.
When you talk about Roman capital, Greek and Roman, we talk about Ionic, you know, the Doric, Ionic, the Corinthian, the mixed, all kinds of them. But this one is a simple one, and it is like a feature of the Nabatean capital.
Oh, look at that beautiful.
And they have black tea with cardamom, with sage, and they heat the water on fire, wood fire. Good luck. Keep warm. Not necessarily rock, because here they can carve it. In Jerusalem, maybe they use the table. But the name of these mountains is Shah.
Mary, go up there, I'll take your picture.
Where does that come
Go
from?
up there and tell me about it.
There's theories, but it may go back to the Bible. Because in the Bible we read about Mount Seir.
I'm facing this way. I don't want to see anybody fall. I don't want to see anybody fall. Change everything.
Mount Seir. You pronounce it Seir. You say Seir. Seir. Which is Shair. Shair. Would be Sharon. What does
pilgrimage journey in Jordan. It's about 185 pages with phenomenal pictures, and it's a biblical guidebook, and it's by some guy named Fadi Haddad, and he's embarrassed by this, but I asked him. He's not talking or pushing or promoting, but he is going to make these available if you would like. The last day, they're $20 each. And so he did not, don't think that he's trying to commercialize this. I asked him about it, and I said, some of our group, because I'm already about 20 pages in, and it is incredibly well written. So please consider that if you want to, just a great, broad, but detailed, well-researched overview of history of the kingdoms here in Jordan.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. سنة حلوة يا جميل، سنة حلوة، سنة حلوة، سنة حلوة يا جميل. All right, yeah. Very kind, very kind. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, but do it again. Very good, very nice.
Excellent.
They're still going to come back.
No, they're gone that time. They're gone that time. Thank you very much.
Hey, good seeing you around.
Yes.